Good afternoon and good evening, everyone. I am Tara and I use she, her pronouns. I live on Ohlone land, also known as the East Bay Area in California, and I am a social worker and also am a minister's assistant at the Berkeley Buddhist Temple. Swimming, hiking, reading a good book, and being with loved ones brings me joy. Thank you all for joining us today for the Berkeley Buddhist Temple and Buddhist Temple of Marin's annual Transgender Day of Remembrance memorial service. Transgender Day of Remembrance is held in November because the first one was held in 1999, which was held to honor Rita Hester, who was murdered on November 28th, 1998. Today's service is to commemorate our transgender Sangha and family who were lost to anti-transgender violence or hatred in the past year and over the years. Although not every person represented during today's memorial service self-identified as transgender, each was a victim of violence based on bias against transgender people. This annual event brings hate crimes against transgender people to the forefront as a reminder that this hate still exists. This Day of Remembrance is also a day to publicly mourn and honor the lives of our family who might otherwise be forgotten. We are here together to express love and respect for those lost. This Day of Remembrance reminds us all that we are all family, no matter our gender, transgender or non-transgender. Transgender people are colleagues, children, parents, friends, and Day of Remembrance is a time when allies must be here in solidarity and to memorialize those who have died by anti-transgender violence. Due to the prejudice that exists in today's society and many people attempting to erase our transgender family, it is important we take this time to remember each transgender person who has been lost, that we remember their names, and that we continue to advocate for justice for all transgender people. So now the other wonderful organizers will introduce themselves, and first I'll pass it to Rin.
Hi, everybody. My name's Eli Rin. I use they or he pronouns. Um, I'm excited to be here. Thank you. I'm coming to you from Odawa, Ojibwe, and Potawatomi land, also known as Chicago. I am part of the Midwest Buddhist Temple Sangha. I run the Zenshin meditation program there, as well as being an IBS student and growing up with Jodo Shinshu and Rinzai Zen affiliations. And what brings me joy is people, connections, and anything that involves letting me do flips or getting upside down. So that's my introduction, and I'll pass it to Juliet.
I apologize, Juliet isn't able to be here today, so I'm sharing their recording of their introduction. Let me try that again. I was told that we couldn't hear the audio. So give me just a moment.
Hello everyone, thank you all for being here. My name is Juliet Boast. I use they, them, theirs pronouns, and I am zooming in or recording from Davis, California on unceded Patwin land. I am currently a senior at UC Davis studying political science and religious studies. At school, I'm involved with the UC Davis Taekwondo Club, and I'm also part of a lab conducting historical and archival research. A little bit about my background in the Buddhist community. My family joined the San Mateo Buddhist Temple when I was in middle school, and over the years I've become involved not only in temple groups, but also young Buddhist organizations, especially during my high school years, such as Junior Young Buddhist Association or Young Junior YBA, and Youth Advocacy Committee. Since graduating high school and entering college, I've become a member of the Young Buddhist Editorial Social Justice Committee and the Senior YBA, or Senior Young Buddhist Association. Outside of school and temple, I enjoy exercising, spending time with friends, and cooking and eating good food. It's nice to meet everyone.
My name's CJ, and I use they, them pronouns. I live in Berkeley, California, or unceded Ohlone territory. Currently a minister's assistant at the Berkeley Buddhist Temple and an assisting minister at the Buddhist Temple of Marin in Marin, California. I'm also a doctorate of ministry student at the Pacific School of Religion, and I'm hoping to be a teacher someday and also a full-time minister. Aside from that, I enjoy lifting weights at the gym, hiking, and playing video games. It's so nice for everyone to have joined us today. To go on to the next part of our service, I'd like to lead us in chanting the Vandana Tisarana. The Vandana Tisarana is an expression of taking refuge in Buddha, in Dharma, or our teachings, and in Sangha, or our spiritual community. This act of taking refuge in the three treasures is something that's practiced across virtually all forms of Buddhism. So I invite you into our community as we all take refuge together. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sammam sambuddhassa. Homage to him, the exalted one, the enlightened one, the supremely awakened one. Buddham saranam gacchami. Dhammam saranam gacchami. Sangham saranam gacchami. I go to the Buddha for guidance. I go to the Dharma for guidance. I go to the Sangha for guidance. Namu Kie Butsu. Namu Kie Ho. Namu Kie So. Namandam, 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 namandam. Now we'll have Juliet lead us in the reading of the Golden Chain. Sorry, just a moment.
If everyone could please join me in Gasho, and let's read the Golden Chain 2 together. I am a link in the Buddha's golden chain of love that stretches around the world. I must keep my link bright and strong. I will try to be kind and gentle to every living thing and protect all who are weaker than myself. I will try to think pure and beautiful thoughts, to say pure and beautiful words, and to do pure and beautiful deeds, knowing that on what I do now depends not only my happiness or unhappiness, but also that of others. May every link in the Buddha's golden chain of love become bright and strong, and may we all attain perfect peace. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namanda, namanda, namanda.
Thanks, Juliet, for leading us in the Golden Chain. Now Rin will introduce us to and then lead us in chanting the Heart Sutra, in Japanese, the Hanya Shinkyo.
Thank you, CJ. Thank you, everybody. I'll be chanting the Heart Sutra with you, and just to give a little background on the sutra, this sutra is also, like in English, called the Perfection of Wisdom Sutra, and I'll just give you a little bit about what's happening in it. So it's Avalokiteshvara addressing Shariputra, and he's telling him about interdependence, about form and emptiness, and about kind of liberation. And it ends with a mantra that dispels all suffering. And that mantra is Gate Gate Paragate Parasamgate Bodhisvaha, which roughly means gone, gone, gone beyond, gone completely beyond, awakened, so be it. So with that spirit of interdependence, of awakening, we chant the sutra together. So if you'll give me, I'll say the first line, and then everybody at home, you can say it with me or join in. And then after, if you could join me in Gasho, I'll just do a short dedication of merit chant. Usually this chant would have a big drum and 2 more bells, but we're adapting for the circumstances we have, so I'll just have 1 little bell going on today. So if you'll give me 1 second, I'll share my screen.
마카한야 하라미타 신교 간지자이보 사교진 한야 하라미타 지쇼켄곤 가이구도 이사이쿠 야쿠샤리시시기 후이쿠쿠 후이시기시기 소쿠제쿠쿠 소쿠제시기 주소교시기 야쿠부 뇨제샤리 시제 쇼호쿠 쇼후 쇼후 메츠후 쿠후 조후 조후 겐제 고쿠 주무시기 무주소 교시기 무기니 비제신니 무시기 쇼코 미소후 호무 긴가이 나이시 무이시기가이 무무묘야쿠 무무묘진 나이시 무로시야쿠 무로시진 무크슈메츠 도무치야쿠 무토쿠이 무쇼토코보다이사타에 한야하라미타 고신 무게게 무게게 고무 우크후온 리사이 텐도무 소쿠교네 한산세 쇼부츠에 한야하라미타 고토쿠 아누쿠 타라 삼야쿠 삼보 다이고치 한야하라미타 제 다이신 슈제 다이묘 슈제 무조 슈제 무토도 슈노 조이사이쿠 진지츠 후고 고세츠 한야하라 미타 슈소쿠 세츠 슈와츠 갸테 하라 갸테 하라소 갸테 오지 소아카 한야신교. If you'll join me with your palms together in Gasho. 지오산시 이시후 시손부사 모고사 모고자 오로미. 나모 아미다부츠 나모 아미다부츠 나모 아미다부츠. Thank you for chanting the Heart Sutra with me. To come next, we will have CJ introduce the Berkeley Buddhist Temple Dharma School.
Thank you, Eli. As they just said, we have a short video prepared by the Berkeley Buddhist Temple Dharma School. Where they share learning about the transgender flag and making onenju, or Buddhist mindfulness beads, based on the flag. So I'd like to share that video with you now. Thank you, thank you, Berkeley Buddhist Temple Dharma School. That was a really thoughtful and beautiful moment of learning and sharing for today's service. Now Rin will lead us in a grounding meditation exercise to prepare us for the next portion of our service.
Thank you, CJ. As CJ said, I'll be leading everybody in a grounding kind of exercise so we can kind of get a little clear headspace, build some safety for ourselves, and really be grounded in what we do have and what is here before we really take in who we have lost. During this exercise, you'll just follow along. Feel free to just listen. You can close your eyes. And if I can invite a posture in, you can either give yourself a little hug, cross both hands over your heart like this, or just let your hands rest against your belly. But I invite you to really feel your hands against yourself somewhere. So I'll keep mine right here. All right, I'll go ahead and ring the bell and we'll begin. This will just take a couple minutes. Take a deep breath in through your nose and slowly let it out through your mouth. Take a second to join your body exactly right now, exactly where you sit. Feel the weight of your clothes against you, the temperature of the air around you. And as you gently inhale and exhale, take a moment to bring your awareness into your hands. Notice any warmth that might be starting to generate beneath the palms. Perhaps you move your hands a little to feel the weight of your hands against your skin and clothes. Feel what it feels like to be held. As you breathe in and breathe out, notice the sensations that arise and fall in your body, and allow them to do just that, arise and fall. Take a deep breath in and slowly let it out. Know that whatever we have, whatever we intake, we have space for. As we exhale, know there will always be release. There will always be somewhere for our breath to go. I invite you to gently, perhaps stretch your neck or shoulders for a moment, rolling slowly, the neck forwards or back, or the shoulders forwards or back. And as you slowly sigh out, if your eyes were closed, let them flutter open. And know that we are all right here, right now, holding ourselves, holding each other, loved and surrounded in love. you for doing that grounding exercise with me. Hopefully you found a little ease or connected with yourself just a little bit. Through that connection with yourself, we can extend our connection to others. And with that, I'll pass it to CJ to introduce the next portion of our service.
Thank you, Ren. We'll now take some time in silence to learn about and remember our transgender and gender nonconforming family who were lost to violence and hatred over the past year. This portion of the service will feature a slideshow of the documented trans and gender nonconforming people who were killed in the United States over the past year, though there are hundreds more people who were killed around the world. I need to give a content warning that this portion of our service contains mentions of violence, murder, death, and suicide. The depictions are intended to be respectful and aren't graphic. However, they may bring up some big and difficult emotions, which is why we just participated in this grounding exercise. I would encourage folks during this time to perhaps journal, respectfully share your feelings in the chat if you're joining us on YouTube. You can also share on Facebook Live. However, I believe that those comments are saved. Whatever you do, please be mindful of what you say and how you share. With all that in mind, let's begin this portion of the service by reflecting on who we've lost over the past year. Thank you for being here today in this sacred space where we can hold one another as we grieve and we mourn. For the next and final portion of our service, Ren, Juliet, and I will share a brief Dharma reflection. With that, I'd like to pass off to Ren for their sharing.
Thank you, CJ. Today, I wanted to talk a little bit more about the Heart Sutra with everybody. When we chant this sutra, it's one that's really close to my heart and special. I spent one whole year writing it, copying it out every single day. I like to study it pretty often, and it's a pretty popular Mahayana sutra, one of the most widely chanted ones across East Asia, at least, if not a lot more of the world as well. And I'll tell just a short story, borrowing from Thich Nhat Hanh, who uses an analogy to do with paper to kind of understand what this whole business of form and emptiness is. There's this concept called shunyata, or emptiness, it's English translation, and in the sutra, Avalokiteshvara says, form is none other than emptiness. Emptiness is none other than form. Form is exactly emptiness. Emptiness is exactly form. So how can something be completely something and completely not that at the same time? It's kind of the crux of hard things to understand in Buddhism, as far as my perspective. But I think when we think about a piece of paper, right here, right? This is a piece of paper. It's got its own form. We know, we can undeniably say this is a piece of paper, right? But when we think about it, all the things that had to go into that paper are so vast, right? There had to be somebody to chop down a tree. That person who chopped down a tree had to have parents who birthed them. After chopping down that tree, we needed forests and trees to begin with. There had to be the process of paper making. So many different composite materials come up into making paper, right? So if we were to say, what is this? Yes, we could say paper, but it's also all the trees. It's all the people who went into making it, right? And then if we look at the other side of, okay, well, something can be made up of a whole bunch of things, but what happens if you try to destroy it, right? So what if I lit a piece of paper on fire? Does it go away? It turns into smoke first, right? So we see part of the paper is going away, but then the smoke's going up into the air. Is that paper? Smoke goes up into the air, it reabsorbs into the atmosphere again. Is that paper? Is it still paper once it transforms? Yes and no, right? Yeah, it was paper and it is paper, but it's also not. Now it's smoke. Now it's other things we have words for. And in thinking of this kind of logic of interdependence or nothing being able to exist on its own, I find a lot of hope in trying to apply that logic to my grief, to my community, right? What happens when I acknowledge that my grief can't exist alone? What further things come up for me? If my grief can't exist alone, what else exists with it? In grief is a whole bunch of love, right? An outpouring, overflowing of love, and our desire to keep being fulfilled with that same love. And when we don't have access to it, we feel grief, right? We feel sadness, we feel sorrow. But in my grief is all of my joy, right? I would not know grief unless I knew joy in the absence of it. You can't be empty of nothing, right? You have to be empty of something. Nothing can't be empty. There has to be something to it. So I think that's the form of emptiness, at least in my understanding. And thinking of my grief as containing all my joy and all my love, I can think of my community as much more an extension, a living, breathing, dying extension of that grief and love. And through these continual transformations, through this acknowledgement that nothing is just what it is, and it's exactly just what it is. It's everything that ever was, all at once, gives me a lot of hope in moving through heavy times like this and recognizing all of those who we've lost. They're not here anymore with us. They truly are not in their bodies here with us to experience life as we wish they could. But they are here within us, right? Our meeting them, our saying their names even,
as join them as a part of my experience, as a part of your experience, as a part of everything we're creating together and experiencing right now. And so even if they're gone or not, they're here. They're a part of me, they're my ancestry, and they're a part of everything that will come because they created all the causes and conditions for what comes next. And so hopefully we can take what comes next and build more love and recognize more people and bring more people in to our hopefully joyous what comes next. So that's my sharing for today. Thank you so much, everybody, for listening, and I will pass it off to Juliet.
Please join me in Gacho. Namo Amidabutsu, Namo Amidabutsu, Namo Amidabutsu, Namandab, Namandab, Namandab. I'd like to begin my reflection with a quote from the song Chosen Family by Rina Sawayama, featuring Elton John. Hand me a pen and I'll rewrite the pain. When you're ready, we'll turn the page together. Open a bottle, it's time we celebrate who you are, or who you were, who you are. We are one and the same. If you haven't listened to the song, I highly recommend that you do. Other than it being a wonderful musical experience, the lyrics of the song hold special meaning, particularly for members of the transgender community. When I listen to this song, I am also reminded of the core teachings of Jodo Shinshu, impermanence and interdependence. So the song touches upon a need to celebrate who you were, who you are, and who you will become. This to me is deeply Buddhist, recognizing that who we are changes from day to day and month to month, year to year, even moment to moment. This is the reality of the world we live in, and while it is commonly talked about in the abstract, it is also a very concrete experience for queer and trans people who have lived and continue to live with an awareness of growth, change, and discovery in personal identity. There is also much pain in this journey, and it is not always safe to outwardly express who you are. But there is much celebration in embracing who you were, who you are, and who you will be. And to live this way, looking inward and outward with an open mind, can open your heart as well. The song also speaks to the importance of finding love and acceptance in community with other transgender friends. A bond strengthened through loss and love until a group of people becomes a family and a home. So this is in the chorus of the song, and it reads, "We don't need to be related to relate. We don't need to share genes or a surname. You are my chosen family. So what if we don't look the same? We've been going through the same thing. Yeah, you are my chosen family." Like the Golden Chain reading, this quote speaks to the deeper elements that connect all of us in a web of causes and conditions, actions and reactions. It's not always about relation, but how we relate. Experience can bind a family together even more so than kinship and bloodline. Today's Transgender Day of Remembrance service is an important exercise in chosen family and community. It asks us to stop and reflect, to mourn and remember the loss of loved ones, sometimes the loss of our chosen family members as well. It also reminds us to build spaces to feel for ourselves and to feel together, and to be aware of the joys in our identity that can soothe the pains. In closing, I'd like to thank CJ, Eli Rin, and Tara, some members of my chosen family, for helping to organize this momentous memorial service. I'd also like to thank our friends at the Berkeley Buddhist Temple, the Young Buddhist Editorial, and others who contributed their efforts and support to make this service possible. Please join me in Gassho as I leave you once again with the words of Rina Sawayama. Hand me a pen and I'll rewrite the pain. When you're ready, we'll turn the page together. Open a bottle, it's time we celebrate who you were, who you are. We are one and the same. We don't need to be related to relate. We don't need to share genes or a surname. You are my chosen family. So what if we don't look the same? We've been going through the same thing. Yeah, you are my chosen family. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namandab, 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 namandab.
I'm so grateful for Ren and for Juliet for sharing their Dharma reflections. I'll be the last one to share this evening. So we're almost finished. And I really struggled with thinking about what I could say today. What can we say and what can we do when we're faced with injustice and grief and loss and violence? I could say that losing loved ones like this, none of that's fair. That was a feeling that tore through my heart while organizing this service with Ren, Juliet, and Tara. It's unfair that we have to lose our trans siblings, our family, to hatred and violence. While it always feels unfair to lose people that we love, it feels doubly unjust to know why we've lost just so many. Anger and rage fill my heart, and maybe that's okay. Anger is an important emotion. Maybe many of us feel angry, but that isn't the only emotion that I feel. I also feel sad, overwhelmed, and I feel helpless. Why have we just lost so many of our trans family? What sort of hatred and anger can drive people to kill our dear loved ones? Every person that we honor today had family, had friends, had lovers, and a community that they adored, and relationships now forever changed that meant so much. I wish I had some profound words of wisdom to bring us all comfort in our grief and loss. I wish that we lived in a world full of kindness, of love and understanding, where our transgender and gender nonconforming family can be and express our authentic selves without fear. I wish for a world where we can come home to and love ourselves without limitations, and a world where that free and unbound love is shared from one of us to another until this contagion of compassion takes over the world, destroying the hatred and selfishness that we hold in our hearts. I wish that all of us, regardless of gender, sexuality, race, religion, class, or creed, everyone, could look on one another with love, with kindness and respect. It's important for us to hold on to that wish, to push this vision of a world where we recognize the familial bonds that tie us all together. That's hope. This, in Jodo Shinshu Buddhism, is the vow of Amida Buddha to save all beings from our limited and self-centered attitudes and perspectives. Specifically, in our tradition, when we say Namo Amida Butsu and recite the name of Buddha, we are embracing that vow that everyone gets free. Simultaneously, the vow is embracing us and calling us to treat one another with love and respect as comrades, as family. There's no place for hatred, no place for violence in the world of the vow. That world, that hope, which we all share, regardless of our religious creed, is built on indiscriminate love. It's built on respect, on care, and on compassion. It's here now, as we hold ourselves and one another in the midst of all these difficult feelings, in the midst of our grief, our sorrow, our anger, our frustration, our brokenness. This is a place for a community of love, a family that goes beyond bloodlines and lineages. Together, we witnessed the lives of our loved ones who have died. Together, we witnessed those lives and we witness the tears and grief that we all share. It isn't easy to shed tears, to weep, to sob, to ask for support from one another. And all while doing so, we can cling to this hope for a world filled with love. In closing, I'd like to share the lyrics of the song, It's Okay to Cry, by the Scottish trans musician Sophie Zion, who died earlier this year. Many people have interpreted this song as a coming out moment for Sophie as a trans woman. And the first music video for this song, published in 2017, was the first time that her face was seen in popular media. The lyrics go like this. I don't mean to reproach you by saying this. I know that scares you. All of the big occasions you might have missed. No, I accept you. And I don't even need to know your reasons. It's okay, it's okay, it's okay. I think you sometimes forget I know you the best. I hope you don't take this the wrong way, but I think your inside is your best side. Was that a teardrop in your eye? I never thought I'd see you cry. Just know, whatever hurts, it's all mine. It's okay to cry. I can see the truth through all the lies, and even after all this time, just know you've got nothing to hide. It's okay to cry. I remember one time you were lost. I came to find you and knocked on your front door. That was you I'd never seen before. It's okay to cry. Was that a teardrop in your eye? I never thought I'd see you cry. Just know whatever hurts, it's all mine. It's okay to cry. I can see the truth through all the lies, and even after all this time, just know that you've got nothing to hide. It's okay to cry. There's a world inside you. I want to know what it feels like. I want to go there with you, because we've all got a dark place. Maybe if we shine some light there, it won't be so hard. I want to know those parts of you. Was that a teardrop in your eye? I never thought I'd see you cry. Just know whatever hurts, it's all mine. It's okay to cry. I can see the truth through all the lies, and even after all this time. Whatever it is, just know it's all right. It's okay to cry. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. With that, we'll close our service for this evening. This is our 4th Transgender Day of Remembrance Memorial service. I'm really grateful to everyone who helped make our service possible. Thank you, Juliet. Thank you, Ren. Thank you, Tara. Thank you, Bradley, for your tech support. He's behind the scenes helping us do all this. Thank you, Berkeley Buddhist Temple. Thank you, Buddhist Temple of Marin and the Young Buddhist Editorial for all of your support too. And most importantly, thank you to everyone who attended tonight and shared this sacred space of mourning, of reflection, and of support. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Please do take care of yourselves.